Okay. So everyone, welcome officially to option C. And it's one of these funny things that happens when there's a creative process. The name of the program for me, if I try to look for it and I try to think, oh, what's the perfect description? It almost like eludes me. But the moment that I get into the energy of the topics and get into the energy of the conversations with everyone, it crystallizes. And so originally, it's still option C, and originally it was option C, stay, leave, or change. And that was the inspiration for the program, and it's still very much a byline for it, right? It's all about our relationships. And either we can stay in things as they are, and often they're great, but could be better. They're okay and could be better, or they're terrible and they really need to be better. And as a divorce lawyer, I know I've seen all kinds of versions of that, right? And in our own lives. So as this whole program was unfolding and I was connecting to the heart of what I was trying to say and to whom, which is you guys, and I imagine more after this in the replay, the feeling that I kept coming back to was like the frequency, the energy that we're really connecting to here is love. And I thought, and I heard in my ear, I didn't even think, I heard in my ear a whisper, option C, coming home to love. And I thought, that is exactly the name. And every time I hear it, I keep feeling, so I went right onto my website. This is what happens when you let women and men fix tech right away. I was like on the website, changing the name. And, you know, I think it's something that we don't fully understand, but we throw the term out. We have experienced it. We love, of course, our family, but there is a whole other deep, energetic concept around love and the heart center that is so much more beyond what we're talking about in like a Hallmark card or a cliche understanding of love. And sometimes I wonder, like, is the planet ready for this conversation? Like, it's so basic and yet it's so profound. And it blows my mind because as a divorce lawyer who helped hundreds, if not thousands of families, that's how those families started, right? Like that's how your family, my family, marriage, all these things, even if it was arranged or not, it's like, it's all with this premise of I love you now or I will grow to love you, right? And then we have children who we love. And yet when it comes to conflict resolution, we never use that word. And I get that the love is coming to an end in a certain way, but 90% of my clients had children. And so I always wonder, like, how do we leave love out of this conversation? And this entire 1 month together, which I'm so honored to do with you, is probably the biggest conversation I've ever had with a group before. And I have zero doubt in my mind as this particular group came together, and there's about 7 to 10 of you. Okay, and some people will be watching the recordings. Every single time somebody joined, I was like, that's the perfect person for this. Your objectives, who you are, what you desire is exactly why I created this, or why the universe is creating this through me. And I get to do this with you. So I want to commend you for being here, truly, truly. And I want to reflect back to you something that I don't know if you really fully see in yourself, which is you are literally having one of the biggest conversations on the planet right now. And I don't mean that to make us puff up via the ego. I truly know as a teacher and a spiritual being that this is the conversation that is now bubbling up on the earth, that this is literally the evolution of mankind, that this is literally spiritual evolution, ascension, moving into 5D, raising our frequency, raising our vibration, like whatever you want to call it. You are literally one of the light workers on the planet if you are having this conversation right now. And that's a really profound place to be. And it's not that we are better or worse. I always explain to people, like, it's okay. Some people are doing algebra. And when you're ready for algebra, you do algebra. And then some people are in grade 2 and they're doing grade 2 math. And we don't look at grade 2s and go, oh, you're only in grade 2. Like, it doesn't matter where people are. There's no judgment around it, because we have to do grade 2 to get to grade 3. And then we have to do grade 3 to get to grade 4. And it's all good and it's all perfect and cute and divine and perfection. But you are literally at the tip of a wave of the evolution of the species. And I know I'm saying some pretty grandiose, whatever, however the hell you say the word, things like, this is grandiose, like it's huge. But I genuinely, in the bottom of my heart, know this to be true. I have been a student of this world for decades. And even my teachers are having this conversation more and more. And it's literally like we are all lining up like these peacemakers in the world, these light workers. And we are starting a revolution. And the revolution is love. And there are elements to being this person. So not only will we go over every single element of how we become more of that during this journey together, I want you to just acknowledge and pat yourselves on the back and show yourself a little love right now for who you already are and how big of a ripple we are going to create with this group. And I'm just, most of you know me by now, like I don't say shit I don't mean. We are creating one of the biggest fucking ripples on the planet with these types of conversations. And do we need it in divorce law? Yes. Do we need it in peacemaking? Yes. Do we need it in medicine? Yes. Do we need it? We need this conversation in every single arena on the planet. And I have people from all professions hitting me up saying, Rad, when you're done with lawyers, come work with us. When you're done, it's because this is what's somehow gone a little missing. So we're going to have this entire conversation, this beautiful love letter to the world is what I feel like we're doing here. And it's going to start with you and I. It's going to branch out to your family, your coworkers, your sphere of impact, and beyond. Because every single person that you touch touches another. And there's literally nothing more important. It's like we got to make it so simple. But really what I see and know and unequivocally understand at this stage, and it's taken some really beautiful moments, I'm going to share one of them with you in a moment, that has caused me to understand this. It's allowed me to have this deeper understanding that this ascension, this next level spiritual evolution that's taking place is about living from the heart, fully operating from the heart. And if you are here, I have no doubt in my mind, zero, that you are ready for this. Because I've seen it time and time again. And it took me a few years to figure out who are the people that were drawn to this conversation, to these teachings that are coming through me, that are not mine, but that are coming through me, through my being, to other people. And it's always people who are awake, who want to go deeper, who want to be more, who came here to do big things, who have a heart and know they want to connect to it at a deeper level. And so I honor you. I salute you. I am so honored that you're here with me. I know that in a time where we are so busy with the internet and social media and all the distractions in the world, that getting someone's time, investment, energy is such a huge thing. And I'm so honored that you're here. Yay. Thank you, Vidhu. Yes, and feel free to just like bombard me in the chat if you're feeling it, if you want to cheer, scream, boo, whatever you're feeling, like we're doing this together. You can always put things in the chat and I will be inviting you to stay involved and talking in the chat. And I really love it. So if like the more the better, do not hold back. The purpose of this is to take you on a journey of your own self-discovery. Okay, so there's no wrong answer. There's no one judging. It's really just what comes to you, what comes to your mind, what comes to your heart, pour it out into the chat. I'll be prompting you as well. And you can also put questions in the chat. We will keep an eye on the questions and make sure that they always get answered. I am going to go over a little bit of housekeeping, and you'll also get an email later today with the recording link and how to access everything. So I don't want to take up too much of our time here, but I do want to just say two things. Number one, the calls are slated for 60 to 90 minutes. So in the calendar invites, if you've gotten, and most of you've gotten it by now, there was some last moment registrations that happened. So if you don't have it yet, you will. It's a 90-minute window. And I do that because I want us to have enough space. And I've taught enough times to know that these are important, big conversations, and sometimes we need a bit more time. So I would love for you to be able to stay. But of course, if you have to leave, the recordings will be made available within a couple hours after. And we're just going to go with the flow. So I'm going to trust that what's coming through for us is going to happen between the 60 and 90-minute mark without worrying about that. And usually the flow when I'm in it, and it's actually a thing, it's a concept, it's a state of being in the present moment that will ensure that the timing is perfect. Okay. So the number two thing I want to share with you as far as housekeeping is a lot of you may or may not have read the fine print in this offer, but only, and I'll edit this for the replay, but like for the replay version that people might purchase down the road after we're done this month. This is only being offered to the people that are doing it live with me in this group in this month. You will have access to me through Voxer, which is an audio messaging app. And or if you prefer, we can do it on WhatsApp. And this is a small enough group that I don't mind giving out my number, and I trust and know all of you. So you have access to me to ask questions, to put personal scenarios, to let me know you're doing great, bad, shit, terrible, amazing. You had an epiphany, you had an aha moment, you wanted to share something with me. You can do that any day of the week on the audio apps, and you'll get an email with more about this. Okay, so I want you to know that you're fully supported in this journey. I want you to have the most fulsome, rich experience for yourself, for your kids, for your family, for everyone involved. But most of all, it starts with you and me. And that's it. It starts with us individually. All the changes we want to see on the outside. The entire consciousness shift is about bringing this conversation inwards. If you haven't watched The Conscious Communicator yet, because some of you have, I do recommend that you watch it because it might very nicely complement what we're talking about here. And I will make sure that everything we talk about here is complete. But if you haven't yet, I'm just putting that back on your radar. And the other thing is you are also automatically granted access to my Meditation Mastery Masterclass. That was something that I created as a really powerful add-on because the number one practice that we are going to be anchoring into this month, for those of you who have, is meditation. So for those of you who have never meditated, let's rock this thing. If you dabble with it, we're going to up your game. My beautiful Liz on my team is creating a tracking your progress worksheet. So, and it's already in the makes. So we're going to share that with all the other resources, and you'll get an email about that. But I want you guys to print that and start tracking your progress, because a big part of this is not just listening, which there's a huge amount of value to that. And you will get downloads and energy transfers just through us spending time together and planting all of these amazing seeds. There's something to it. There's something healing about it. There's something beyond words that I can not fully explain, but I've seen it. And I want you to have an experiential journey. When I was doing my master's degree in law, because I'm crazy and I was bored, and I thought, just finished 9 years of university, why not do a little bit more? So I did a master's in law. And one of the biggest gifts was that 50% of that master's was about teaching adults. Go figure. And it was specifically in the context of teaching adults dispute resolution stuff. But there was so much on the psychology of how adults learn that has served me so much. And what I know now is that adults don't learn by just listening alone. It's about integrating. And because we have all these habits and wiring of the brain that's already so developed at the age and stage that we're at, I'm 42, I think we're all around, the 30s, 40s, 50s, that we need to take action aligned with what we're trying to go and who we want to be, that supports the consciousness shift that we want to have on a conscious and a subconscious level. And I will talk more about this as we go. And I said I wasn't going to cover too much housekeeping, but I did cover a few things, and the rest I'll cover at the end. Okay. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I know that's quite a bit, but I want to just set the tone and hopefully give you a sense of how this is going to work. The calls, I do want to mention this, are going to be twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday at this time. And then there's going to be a live evening deep dive. And I'm going to send a poll to pick the timing and date for that. In our Facebook group, you'll see you'll get an invite, which is where all the resources will be. And we'll have a live meditation, a heart chakra healing meditation that I will channel live. It's usually 60 minutes, and we do it usually 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. EST, because most of the people I work with right now are still in this time zone. Although we have some people in Italy in this round, and then we have like Liz, who's in California. So we'll do it 6 a.m. Those of you can make it live, amazing. It's for people to be able to get to work and get to their kids in the morning without missing a beat. And we'll just go with the flow. My goal with all of these programs, especially the big transformational programs, which this is definitely one, I want you to leave feeling different. Like, that is the goal. I don't want you to feel inspired. I don't want you to just feel enlightened. I don't want you to just feel kicking. I want you to feel physically, heart, energy, body different. Okay. So the very first concept that I want to talk about, and I would love to hear from you guys in the chat, is, and I'm going to prompt you in a moment, but feel free at any point to throw anything in, is the concept of unconditional love. And again, you know, these are words that sometimes feel a little cliche and a little like Hallmarky. 20 years in dispute resolution, and I'm living a beautiful life and having many of my own ahas. And it is so crystal clear to me that where we've got an opportunity to upgrade is moving into true love, which is unconditional love. What do I mean by that? I think you already may get it. And if you have a sense of what I'm talking about, feel free to throw in the chat where you think, you know, what your take is on this. Growing up, most of us, I'm going to say all of us, were at some point taught that to be loved, we had to do things. To be loved, we had to say certain things, not say certain things, do certain things, not do certain things, speak a certain way, look a certain way, be like this person, be like her, right? And then there was report cards and grading, and we were taught like, oh, like, where's the 2% missing, or you got a C, you're a failure, or this. And what happens to a child when they come into the earth completely whole and complete, completely loving and unconditionally, completely in the flow, as like divine energy, is that it starts to realize, oh, I want to be loved. I need to be loved. It is my physiological need to be loved by my caregiver, right? Like, that's why babies look so cute. Human babies, you know, it's like that doe eyes are like, feed me, don't leave me in the forest, right? It's like there is a evolutionary reason why we're so cute when we're born. And it's so that we can, the adult continues to love this child. There's this oxytocin and there's all these chemical things happening, bonding you to your child. And the child needs you for survival. In fact, humans are said to be one of the mammals that is the least sophisticated at birth and is the most helpless, and you can't walk for like a year, you know, like it's not like I think horses, they come out and then a couple hours later they're off. I could be wrong about that. The horse lovers will correct me. But so, yes, exactly. Feeling an abundance of love. Oh, I love this. With an open heart, no care in the world if it's returned or not. Yes, yes, yes. This is it. No expectations, just putting in your 100% and getting back what the universe has stored for you in this moment. Yes, Vidhu. Exactly. I love this so much. This is it, right? And I want us to really build into this energy, and we're going to talk about healing in the next call. But there is stuff that we can do. There are tools and practices that we can start to integrate so that we start to live in that energy more and more. Because that is absolutely, ultimately the goal, is to be in a place where we just give because we can, because that's who we want to be. That's what we desire. And we are not waiting with bated breath to see what the response is. The thing is, because of all this conditioning, we have lost ourselves along the way. We have lost that connection to feeling enough, to feeling like I'm good enough exactly how I am. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say anything. I could say the wrong thing and I'm still perfect. We've lost our connection to that energy. And so then what happens is we start to move in fear to speak up, to say what we really want. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I upset that person? And in your objectives form, the ones that I've gone already, that actually was quite a theme that came up. And I'm just pulling it up here. And I'm not going to name names, obviously, lawyer, so I understand confidentially at its finest, right? But one of the things, what are you hoping to get? A more constructive way to deal with my parent and have better communication strategies to deal with them and my partner, right? And so what I will say till I'm blue in the face, I'll shout it from the mountaintops till the day I die, is the most important relationship we will ever have is the one we have with ourselves. That is where the most conflict is happening. That is where the most painful stuff is being said. That is where the doubt, fear live. That's where the shadows lurk. And you will have heard me say this in the Conscious Communicator, the most important conversation we have is the one that we have with ourselves. Well, that is literally the exact same for relationships. It's all the same. How I communicate to myself, how I relate to myself, how I view myself, how I love myself, how I forgive myself, how I let myself off the hook, right? So give me a little bit more on, what do you think unconditional love looks like? What are the elements of unconditional love? If you can give me like one word snippets, what would be the characteristics of unconditional love? Yeah. Also the relationship that gets neglected the most. I'm assuming you're talking about the one with ourselves. Yeah. Because again, part of the conditioning was, oh, Lizzie, when you're doing for everyone else, you're a good girl and we love you for that. So pat you on the back, right? It's like literally like how we train animals, right? Like our pets that we love. It's like, you do this, you get this. You do this, you get this. Yeah, right? 100%. Yeah. Unconditional love, all encompassing. Yeah, all encompassing, non-judgmental. You literally read my brain. Yes, thank you, Liz. Yeah, it's non-judgmental. One thing that I see as I go into myself, and I've been doing the work as we all have, because I know if you're here, you're already on the path, is what I notice now, where I'm hard on somebody else, it's usually because I'm hard on myself about that. So when I see somebody on IG and I'm in a funk and I go into a judgment, like, that knee-jerk judgment zone, and I'm like, like, I know judgment is like literally depleting my vibration, literally, because it disconnects me from the understanding that we're all one. And I'm like, interesting, where do I do that with myself? Where do I actually judge myself? And so starting to see how the way we speak to ourselves, the way we act with ourselves, the way we love ourselves is very often, if not always, a reflection of our being in relationships. And so unconditional love means no matter what. And a lot of people have a hard time with this concept, and I can hear all like the naysayers in my head, because we think, well, what? So like if somebody's rude to me, I just like, no matter what. Yeah, That is what I'm talking about. That doesn't mean staying in the room and staying in the relationship if it's abusive. I'm talking about everyday communications with people and deciding who we want to be, who we actually want to be in the relationship. And that's what conscious creation means. That's what living consciously means. It's now moving from just reacting. Somebody doesn't give you the right thing. You're reacting. Oh my God, Vicky, that's so good to see you. Not giving someone else the power to determine what our day will be. Yes, this is it. And we aren't taught that enough. We aren't given the tools to be strong enough to do that more and more. And that's what I want us to all do here together, is not just to know what we're doing wrong and what we can do right, but to do some housekeeping on the inside, including the most powerful meditation practices I'm going to share with you, that start to clean up the garden at the roots, so that speaking from the heart and living from the heart are not as difficult. I want it to become our nature, not a challenge, right? This is about getting into the flow of being this naturally. And what will happen inevitably on this path is we will start to see how we are behaving when we're in a funk, and we'll start to see how we're doing when we're good. And what really often happens, and I want us to be really hyper aware of this, myself included, is that we speak to ourselves with compassion. We will fall from grace. We will snap. We will say something to our kid that we didn't mean. We will react to people. Like, that's human nature. And the key here is, when you do that, can you come back with compassion? I want you to understand that we are literally shifting into another human paradigm of consciousness. It's literally a different vibrational way of living. And the best analogy, the best terms I could give you here to explain this is, we're moving from 3D to 5D. And if you're here, you are definitely 4D. You're at least in the 4D realm, okay? The 4D is the bridge between 3D and 5D. Does anybody understand? See, let me know if you know about like 5D or higher consciousness or higher way of living. What are the key words that you would imagine, whether this is a new concept to you or an old concept? What are some words that you believe are the core of operating in 5D? What are some of the words? So I'm going to throw out love, bliss, ecstasy, whole and complete. These are energies, these are states of being that are normal when we have transitioned into full-time 5D living, okay? So, and we're going to talk a lot more about this. Boundaryless, I love that. Yes, yes. Without limit, knowing it's not all about me, Vicky. Yes, exactly. Non-judgmental, yes. Keep them coming, keep them coming. I love this. This is it. It's limitless. There is the way we speak in that realm, we no longer use words like, oh, I have to, or I should. There's less obligation. Yes. No strings attached. Yes. Love it. It's unconditional. You know, and those of us who are parents and have been blessed to be, or aunts and uncles, or whatever it is in your stage. I know, like, I have one member in this group who's an aunt, and like, I know you feel this. The love that we have for these little beings is unconditional. And as you continue to see how you speak to yourself and do this for yourself, you will catch where your child might have strayed from that understanding of being unconditionally loved. So for example, this morning, my son was leaving. I have two boys, Aryan and Sahil. Sahil's, they're 10 and 8. And last night, it started with last night, we have a basketball net over Aryan's door. They share a room. So it's over the bed, you know, one of those like slam dunk door basketball nets, whatever the hell they're called. And so the kids were playing, and Aryan is quite the basketball buff in the family, right? So this is his thing. And Sahil really loves to keep up with it, and he loves it, and he loves playing with his brother. And me and my husband will sit on the bed and we'll watch them. And it's always like, Mommy, watch me. Can you see me? Mommy, did you see that shot? Mommy, right? And so we just watch them and we cheer them on. And like, it's the way we put them to bed, which is probably the complete opposite of what we should be doing at bedtime, letting them jump up and run around. But that's what we do. We're like, now go to sleep, now that your heart is racing and your adrenaline's pumping. I see it as burning energy. So the ones that have boys or active crazy girls will know what I'm talking about. So every time Sahil was trying to do a dunk last night, he said, I suck. I suck. I suck. Every time he took the ball, and he's such a positive child for everybody else. It's really something fascinating to me. He's like a unicorn child, okay? Not good, like he's like a rainbow child from another planet. So light, so high frequency, so loving, so non-judgmental, and yet the only time he falters from that is when it's about himself. Not always, but that's the only time. And he kept saying, I suck. And I'm like, why do you suck? And he's like, I can't even reach the net. I'm like, you don't suck. You're just 8 and you can't reach the net. He's like, yeah, I'm short. I'm like, well, when I was 8, I was probably the same height as you. Like, what is the issue here, right? So this morning, as he was going to school, I felt it really important to remind him of that, to remind him. I said, and listen, we don't talk to ourselves like that, do we? Like, we suck. Are we going to say we suck, or are we going to say I rock? And he nodded at me. And I said, say it after me. Say it out loud. He goes, I rock. I said, you rock. He's like, yeah. I said, you rock whether you get the ball in or you don't get the ball, or you don't even like basketball. You don't even pick up the damn ball. Screw basketball. It doesn't matter what you do, what you say. If you have a booger coming out of your nose, if you haven't brushed in 4 days, like, you are perfection. And what I would love, and this may feel like a tall order for some of us today, what I would love is for us, and I think this is the call, okay, guys? I think we are creating like a love army here, like love soldiers, and we're going to do this and we're going to ripple it out into the world. But it starts with you. It starts with us. Can we speak to ourselves like that? Can we get to a place where we speak to us like that? And listen, nothing about what I do and teach is Pollyanna. It's none of it's like, oh, and just like brush away all the bad shit. No, we're going to talk a lot about release and how that's important, and feeling the feelings and emotion, all of that. Oh God, if you saw me yesterday, you'd be like, this chick's going to teach me today. God help us. I was in such a funk. If you get the newsletter, you probably got the email because I shared it in like real time. I had every single limiting fear that I've ever had, literally, like pile up in a collision in my system, and like tsunami out of there, right? We have to feel it. We have to feel it to transmute it. And our next call is about being our own alchemist. So, but then coming back to, right? So we're toggling between this ego self and this higher self, this ego self and that presence, that conscious awareness that's listening to this craziness, right? It's the I suck versus the I rock. And becoming our biggest fucking fan, like becoming our biggest fan, our number one. It's like, you believe in me. Oh my God, thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for the support. You know what though? The front of the line, I'm right there. Getting to that place. And understanding that you don't have to do anything. You understanding that the roles that you play, your job, your career, your motherhood, your fatherhood, none of those things are who you are. They don't define your worth. They don't define if you're doing a good job or a bad job, or if you're worthy of it. You just are. You just are. You're worthy. You're perfect. And none of those roles are you. It's coming back to that higher self. It's coming back to ourselves at that soul level and remembering who we are, no place, no time. You know, as my beloved teacher, Dr. Joe Dispenza says, that essence in you that is beyond space and time, that is who we're connecting to. This is not from an ego exploding energy. It's literally the opposite. You were born like this. You see a 4-year-old running through the field with a Batman cape on and the mask, and they're like, I'm Batman, you know, and you're like, whoa. I remember Sahil, my rainbow child, he would say to me, like, I think I'm going to be a gardener when I grow up. And I was like, amazing. Yeah, rock it. You're going to do it. You're going to do the thing. And he goes, next day he goes to me, Mama, I know I told you I was going to be a gardener, but I also feel like a little bit of like an artist. Can I be both? And I'm like, yeah, you can. Can be both. Amazing. Gardener, artist, rock it. It doesn't matter. What we do is just what we do. It has no connection to our worth. And yet, because of the conditional environments that we were raised in, and that's okay. It's not about judging the past generations. We are literally evolution. We are evolving. We used to be monkeys, guys. Like, we used to be like, oh, like we're doing it. We're getting there and we're evolving. And this is just another beautiful next level chapter of our evolution. So now we can hear our thoughts. Ooh, we can change the thoughts that we can hear. We can go all the way in the bottom and rip out the roots of where those thoughts came. We can rewire our brain. Our thoughts become things, and we can start to see, oh, that's a limiting belief blocking me from my biggest, baddest desires. And so this shift, yeah, thank you, Vidhu. That's hard for me. Getting rid of that cultural bias. Yeah, I feel you. I 1000% feel you. It's real, man. For me, it's the brown culture, it's the Indian culture. And I remember in 2019, when I started thinking about doing this and thinking about creating a group for lawyers at the beginning, I would sit down in meditation and my mind would go, what are they going to say? What are people going to say? What are they going to think? What's so-and-so going to think? Like random people. I'm like, when did I care about what Jane had to say about me? Why did Jane keep popping up into my head? It's like the most random whack job situations and scenarios. It's like, Jane is not thinking about you right now, Rad. Jane is busy living her best life. Like, why does this keep coming up? And I realized growing up in my culture, what people thought about you was really important to my parents. That's what we were always told. And I'm sure, Vidhu, you come from a, Indianish background, and I know there's a couple of us in this group, and I'm sure other cultures mirror the same thing because we're all so much more alike than we are different. But it was like, oh, what are people going to say? What will people do? What will people think? If someone's getting divorced, oh, it's a taboo. We can't talk about that. Oh my God. My parents just said to me on the weekend, thank you. Yeah, Italian culture is very similar. That was my conversation until I started working myself, right? Like, me too. It was like, holy shit, I didn't even realize, I was like, when did I start giving a shit about what people thought about me? But apparently underneath it was like very, very loud, very persuasive, and almost stopped me from doing this. Imagine, like, we wouldn't all be here together right now if I had bought into that voice, right? So the shift that we want to do is starting to really submerge ourselves into this energy of unconditional love, start to pack it, unpack it. And really, it's just loving because, for no other reason. No ties, no strings attached, like one of you said, right? Just love you, love myself. Why? Oh, I didn't do anything. I wasn't productive today. I feel guilty. I wasn't there for that person, right? We put all this crap on ourselves, all these expectations. Well, if I say no, who's going to do the yearbook? Like, I'm making fun of Liz right now, but like, right? And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes we take it on, we love it, and we push through it. And then sometimes it really creates resentment. And it's like, did I say yes out of an energy of fear? Or did I say yes out of an energy of love? And that's the next nugget I want us to really put our teeth into right now. I'm just going to see here. I love what you guys are saying in the chat. I love you. Thank you. This is awesome. This is a conversation that I will have till the day I die. This is the best conversation ever. But I feel like we are taught that it's the other people we should worry about, but it's really our own insecurities. Exactly. Exactly. And I remember once saying to a colleague of mine, a beautiful human being, one of the lawyers I used to work in the same space with, and she said to me, I I was in like one of my flowy moments. She came in my office and we were talking about this stuff, and I said, I'm my biggest fucking fan. And she looked at me. She was like, I think she was gonna barf. Like, I think she was like, it was so shocking to the core for her. And I was like looking at her and I realized, oh, like everyone, yeah, no, like I'm my biggest fan. It's not about what I've achieved or the letters behind my name. None of that. Like, none of that. That's actually what I'm trying to detach from. Like, those are the things. I don't even think I have it on half of the links I send out on my website. I'm like, although I really would love if people call me Dr. Rad, because technically I have a doctorate. But anyways, who's counting? Like, that would be such a great brand. Dr. Joe, Dr. Rad. Anyways. But listen, a JD is a doctorate in jurisprudence. I know you're laughing, Liz. But so it's the exact same as an MD, and it's the exact same thing as an OD, and it's exactly the same as a PhD. They're all D's, they're doctorates. Look it up. So, but really, we're disconnecting from all of those things. The love is about just my heart. Like, I love who I am. I love that I don't give up. I love that I'm so determined. I love that I love so much. I love that I'm so funny and silly. I love my sense of humor. I laugh at my own stupid fucking jokes. Like, I think I'm pretty cool. I like hanging out with myself. I love having dinner by myself. I like walking alone by myself. I have no problem being by myself. In fact, when I'm not by myself enough, I start to fall apart. Don't be sad. Go see Dr. Rad. See? We're creating jingles here, folks. This is amazing. Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Listen, I have way too much access to my website. It might change today. Don't be surprised. But so, and I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I had a whole conversation yesterday with doctorates. Remind me later. Yeah, I will. So really, it's not about loving ourselves because of our accomplishments. So it's like, oh, finally, now I've done enough so I can be my biggest fan. Because did you see, I wrote a book. Did you? It's like, no, of course, be happy about your accomplishments. But the unconditional part of this fan club is that it doesn't matter. It's like a cherry on top. It's like your kid, you love them anyways, and then they do a cartwheel and they finally nail it. And you're like, well, that's awesome. That's amazing. And I love you even if you never tried to do the cartwheel. That's the kind of fierce, radical love I'm talking about. And in order for us to be these love soldiers in the world and come out every morning with our hearts wide open, and we're going to talk about the heart center and go deep into that, we have to love ourselves. And we have to let go of all the bullshit, false stuff we were told, the lies that we were sold and believed to be true about what it means to be enough. People want to manifest things, and some of the stuff I teach is about manifesting. Well, guess what, guys? Like, you are actually up-leveling your manifestation powers as you do this month journey, because the thing that blocks most people is they can see what they want. The focus part is easy. What do I want? I want to go to Italy. I want to go try fly first class. I want to pay off my mom's mortgage. I want to, right? That's easy. It's the believing that we're worthy of it and then receiving it, which both tie into our worthiness and to our limiting beliefs, into all that shit that was tsunamiing my ass yesterday afternoon, where I literally ugly cried here at this very desk. And it's okay. It's okay. We got to let it up. We got to let it out, because as we do this shift into 5D, into this new way of being, into this conscious, heart-centered love soldier that we are, love maker, but now it sounds sexual. I'm like peacemaker, love maker, right? We have to love ourselves first. And so starting to radically transform, radically start to hear ourselves is going to be the center of this whole thing. It's about loving us because we fucking deserve it, period. Yes. And those of you who don't like the F word, I apologize profusely in advance. But if you're here, you're probably okay with it. Yes. Yes. It's about loving us because we fucking deserve it, period. It's just like, it's just a word. Win the lottery. Yeah. Right. And what I realized, and this is not a manifestation course, but it will come up, is our minds are so limited that when you learn to detach and turn this thing off, this computer, which I talk a lot about in Conscious Communicator, and you start to live from here, you will start to understand that it is as simple, Abraham Hicks says, it's as simple to create a button or a castle. There's no difference. The difference is what you believe around it. I have friends and people in my community and in the Dr. Joe community who are healing fourth stage cancer, tuning into a frequency of whole and complete. Feeling the feeling of whole and complete, which is one of those 5D energies. Okay, and some call it the quantum field. Okay, it's all the same. Because they feel whole and complete before they see their physical body healed. You lead with your energy. You lead with your energy in your home. Okay, so what are the concepts, again, of this higher dimensional frequency energy? It's literally a real state of being place. I visit it in meditation. It's all here, all happening at the same time. And I know that you're ready for this deep conversation, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Unconditional love, being whole and complete, bliss, ecstasy, love. So I'm going to share a story with you to kind of bring this to real life. Because I know it sounds sometimes like, even when I hear it, I'm like, okay, I don't want to lose you. Because these are not just words. So I was at the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, a second one that I did. I did the first one in 2019 in Spain. It was bomb, life-changing. And then I went back last November. And a big part of why I went back last November was my instinct, but also I really wanted to take my baby sister who had just radically transformed and healed from a brain tumor. And lived with me during COVID, and it was quite the ride. And I said to her, once COVID lifts and once you're feeling like you can travel and you're not on chemo, we're going to do it. And it's going to be amazing. So it was such a big dream come true. We go to this retreat. And the first day, and I did talk a little bit this in Conscious Communicator, but I want you to have it here, and I'm going to take it a step further, is in the very first day, I sat down in meditation. And I love Dr. Joe more than the air I breathe. He's just such an incredible human being. I would love to be 1/10 of who he is in the world, and what the service he provides people and the space he creates for people to transform is just magic. And in the first meditation, Dr. Joe decides to start deep diving into the heart center. And by the way, I'm wearing green because green is the color of the heart center chakra, the fourth chakra in our energy centers. And so I'm sitting there and I had a feeling, life's very busy and blah, 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 and we're going. But I knew that my heart was feeling a bit blocked. And we're going to talk more about this, but this will be a beautiful entry point for this conversation. How did I know that my heart was blocked? For me, because I had a practice of going through all my energy centers every day, and many of my students now do this. And one of the members in this group does it like every morning for an hour, hour and a half. I feel like a buzzing that happens when I activate each center. How do I activate a center? I just focus on it. And this is literally the meditation I'm going to take you through. So I'm very, very excited about that. And you'll have access to more recordings and like whatever the heck you want, just tell me and I'll get it to you. I want you to start to play with this tool to see if it's for you, because it probably is if you're here. So I start to tune into the centers, and when I tune into the centers, I can feel my root center, I can feel my sacral, I can feel everything. And then when I get to my heart, it doesn't buzz the same way. it hadn't been for a few months prior to this retreat, which was last November. And so I knew there's like, something's up there and this is a great time to, it's like you have a cavity, now it's time to deal with the cavity. It's like, I knew, and this was a perfect space, the perfect container. And so I start to tune into my heart center. How do you do that? You just put your mind there, you start picturing it, you start breathing into it, you start feeling it, okay? Just like how you feel your finger, how you feel your toe, it's the exact same thing. Start breathing, focusing on it. And I started to see, I call it like zooming in, like if you can picture like a medical scope going into your body, that's how I use my mind's eye, my third eye, my internal video camera. And I start to zoom into my body. And I started to go into the area of the heart center, okay, with this little telescope. And it's like zooming in, zooming in. And I see my heart wrapped in black hockey tape. And I talked about this in the Conscious Communicator. So, and I know some of you were there. And I thought, oh my God, what's with the hockey tape? And so then in that moment, because I had set an intention to clear my centers, to open my centers, to eliminate the debris around my heart center, I started to see the black hockey tape. I know this is a crazy story, but everything I'll share will be because I could physically feel it and like lived it. I see the hockey tape unraveling. And I literally, under the black hockey tape, saw a heart emerald, which is how I envision my heart chakra. It's like an emerald in the shape of a heart. And I saw it sparkling and I saw it glorious. And I was like, oh my God, like I literally like almost started, I'm sure I was in tears, like it took my breath away. I was like, oh God, there she is. Like I'm tuning back into that moment and I can feel it. My heart's like skipping right now, just feeling that moment. And I was like, there she is, because I had already known what it felt like to live with my heart wide open. And it is the best place to be. Does it mean, I won't digress there for a second. It's the best. We're going to go deep this whole month. And so once it started to reveal itself, I was like, oh my God, let's get rid of the rest of the hockey tape. I consciously, just with my visualization, decided to take off the rest of the tape. I shared with the group last time that I literally took I pictured like a alchemical fluid, like even you could call it nail polish, remember, it doesn't really matter, like a liquid that had the ability, if I poured it on top of the heart, to remove the debris. Hockey tape's very sticky, and I thought, oh, I don't want any debris. I want to see it completely sparkle. What would happen if I just internally start to visualize something like this? How would it change how I feel? And I'll tell you, like my heart is so online right now. It is so like orgasmically throbbing that that's how it would feel. And I started to tune into this feeling. And then I communicate with my higher self, and we're going to talk about this. I think it's day 4. But I literally tuned into that voice, that intuition in my mind. Okay. And let me know if you're still picking up what I'm putting down, or what your thoughts is. This is crazy. This is nuts. Like I want to hear from you. I sat there and I thought, oh my God, I could literally feel the transformation physically. And I was like, oh, she's back. And I said to my intuition, to my guides, what do I need to do? How do I keep my heart open? And it said, decide. You decide every day, in every moment that you're consciously aware, to keep your heart open. And the reason we close our hearts, why do you think we close our hearts? Anybody? I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Why do you think we close our hearts? What is happening to humans? Because we are born with our hearts open, almost always without exception. Fear. I used to feel my heart all the time and find heart shape everywhere. Oh my God, I love that. Yes, yes, yes. Love it. Seema, hi, welcome. Fear. Yes. Fear of what? Fear of what? We close our hearts. Rejection. Yep. 1000%. Rejection, broken heart. Yes. Failure. Yes. What will people think of my failure? Right? What does this mean about me if I'm rejected? Yes. Life happens and people don't always respond the way we hoped. And what happens is, if we're coming from this, I'm not feeling whole and complete energy, and then I put myself out there even more, and then I get shut down, it shuts down even more, right? So the path to living from the heart center is constantly keeping an eye on your heart, breathing into your heart, activating your heart, inviting your heart to come back online, letting it know it's safe to do that, and ultimately deciding, choosing, because you have that much power. You are that powerful that you can decide to keep your heart open. And so what happened then was, and this is part I didn't share, was I could literally see myself on the bridge of 4D. And I'm very open and transparent about my woo-woo-ness, and I do channel a lot, and I will be reading some of my channeled messages for you in this month. So I'm very excited about that. And your guides and my guides are very excited about that. You'll be like, yeah, and you're like a crowd. And so I know it sounds crazy to some, but I think most of you get this. And so I literally asked, how do I stay in the 5D energy? Because my understanding was that I was kind of between 4 and 5. That's where I toggle. There's no part of me that's in 3 that thinks I'm a human, and that's it, ashes to ashes. 4 means we understand we're souls having a human experience. And then 5 is we've let go of all the entrapments of the lack, the scarcity, the not enough, the judgment, the fear, the competition, the jealousy. We've let go of all of those lower paradigms, right? So I have been in those flow states, and I operate in that state more and more. And I thought, how do I just stay there? And I know if you're here, you desire the same. This is what our souls all ultimately are moving towards, more effortlessly than we think. And so what I heard was, to live there all the time, you have to let go of your narrative around loss and suffering. Because when I first saw, what I didn't share was, when I first saw my heart closed, I thought, why is it closed? Like, what did I do? How did I close it? I thought I'd done the work. I thought I had learned to keep it open. I didn't even know that once you opened it the way I had, with the Kundalini energy plowing through my heart in 2019, like the Niagara Falls was going to fall out of my chest. I didn't even know that it could close up again. And so I thought, was it because of Saloni, my older sister who passed away, my adopted chosen older sister, mentor? Was I still grieving? Was I protecting myself because of the fear of failure, of loss, of rejection, right? Loss is a huge one, why we close our hearts, fear of loss and actual loss. And they said to me, no, it's not actually anymore about losing her. It's about your narrative, your story that you tell around loss and separation. For the longest time, if you were to ask me what my story was that I had experienced a lot of loss and separation. And is it still a part of my story? Yes, but not with the same energetic charge to it, right? And that's the important thing. So we have these wounds that we're letting go of, but we also have stories that we're letting go of. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if you connect with this. You're not leading with it anymore. Yeah, clarify that for me, Vince. I love that. Yeah, you're not leading with that old paradigm. That's it. And there's no charge to it, right? Like, there's no like, oh, poor me. Yeah, and it's not the first thing that I say, totally. And it's not my focus. It's not the thing I'm always dodging. Yeah, I do that. You're saying I introduce myself as a single mom. I need to stop that. So interesting, right? Yeah, like we start to define ourselves as like all these titles, all these, like, I'm a lawyer, I'm a this, I'm a that. People used to say to me, you don't act like a lawyer, like you're so chill. And I'm like, what does being a lawyer even mean? Like, it's just a degree. I went to school, I got credits, they gave me a piece of paper, I get to do a job. It's not my personality, exactly. And often our wounds, even if they sit as empty carcasses, have this story, this paradigm that we then just hold on to. And that also is a set of limiting beliefs. Sometimes I've heard myself say it's crazy ass shit, like everybody around me keeps dying on me. I remember saying that once. And it was like, hold on, that's not true. Like, thank God, like that's not true at all. And we can either choose to make what's happening in our life to reaffirm this old narrative, or we can let it go and then move forward in the energy of the 5D, the higher frequency energies. And a lot of people don't fully get what we mean by these higher frequency energies. Like a lot of people are like, oh, high vibe, and that's a vibe. And we use these words kind of in like, you know, day-to-day conversation. And then some people are like, oh, that's too low vibe, I don't want to talk about that. And your vibration will stay the highest when you tune into these higher states and you let go of all the debris in your system, all the old narratives. And sometimes to let go of it, you need to have a good cry, like I did yesterday. You need to let yourself feel the anger and the rage and the emotion that is holding that experience trapped in your system, so that your energy can rise, so that your vibration can rise, right? So I said to them, okay, great. Thank you for telling me. I'm literally in this, I don't know, 3-hour meditation. And I could feel like I'm literally, my foot was at this door, this energetic dimension door where I could move and be and live in 5D on a permanent basis. And I was like, yes, 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 this is all I want. I know when I'm there. I know when Rad's in the flow, and I know when Rad's in a funk. And it's so much better when I'm in a flow. I'm sure my husband would agree. So I said, okay, I have to let go of the narrative. Okay, this is a clincher here. This is like a key moment that I will never forget. I said, okay, so I'm going to let go of the story. My eyes were still closed. And I was literally in my mind's eye stepping into, you know, this next dimension, this next energetic space. And I still couldn't do it. I hesitated again. And it was so wild. I was like, whoa, how come I can't do it? And I heard, what is it? And what immediately came up for me was, I don't know who I am without the story. I can't make the jump because I don't even know who I am. If this story, like, what's my intro line? Like, what do I say? Who am I? And they said to me, what if you could just be love and bliss? And it was such a gift in this moment. It was such a gift to hear that. It's 111 on my phone, which is an angel number. It was such a gift because sometimes it's scary to let go of your old self. Does that make sense? It's like, well, who am I if I'm not a single mom? Who am I if I'm not a lawyer? Who am I if I'm not a mom of 2? Who am I if I, like, and sometimes, you know, people call it like stepping into the unknown. You don't have to step into the unknown. You can decide which elements of that higher state of being you want to become more of. So when they said to me, you could just be love and bliss, it blew my mind because I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. It's a really deep conversation to be having in a very street talk kind of way, but like, I didn't know that I could replace the story of losing my child and losing my family and blah, 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 right? Violin. letting go of that story, I could replace it with, Rad, you can just be love and bliss. You can just emanate and simmer in the energy of love and bliss. It requires you to let go of all the dense stories you tell yourself. And I was like, oh my good Lord, letting them go right now, like dead weight. You know how like a rocket, when it's launching, it lets go of the bottom half, it's like, let go to reduce the resistance and start to fly. It's literally that. And in your journaling exercise today, you're going to get 2 kind of homeworks for this week. And I'm going to give you both of them at the same time this week, so you can have the whole week till next Tuesday to work on them. Is going to be one of the things like, what is the story I want to let go of? What is the story of who, quote, air quotes, who I am that I'm actually not, that I need to let go of now, so that I can step into a higher energetic state? And this is so important in relationships and in our lives and in our missions, because it's literally dead weight that we carry around. It's literally dead weight. Let me know if this is resonating in the chat, because this is such a key piece that's coming through. When we put ourselves out there and love others, if we are not moving in the energy of whole and complete, just the way I am, then often we are asking to be seen or heard from an energy of fear, not love. Love is connection. Love is genuine. Hey, I love you. Let's have lunch. Let's do something together. I want to squeeze you. I want to kiss your face. Like, I love you. I want to hug you and put my hand on your shoulder. What's going on with you? Tell me all about your day. What's moving and shaking in life? What are your dreams? You look so beautiful. Ah, you look so beautiful. Ah, I love your new haircut. Like, that's connection. Do you see there's a different vibration to connecting from an energy of pure love, from I'm already good and I get to love on you, versus, well, if you loved me a bit more, then I could feel good about myself. Like I wasn't loved when I was younger, and so now I need you to fill me up. You're going to complete me, right? You're going to go into a marriage and it's like, you're the one, you're going to save me. You're the guy and the horse, the white horse, you're going to save me. And it's like, no one is going to save us but ourselves. No one has the power to, no one has permission to, and no one needs to. You are so powerful. And what I would love is for all of us to leave a few notches higher when we're together after this month together, simmering in this energy, in these concepts, in this way of being. When I'm at the drive-through, and I'm talking about every relationship, every interaction, because we do it. We are constantly looking. Yes, need to stop looking for this validation outside of my own heart. Bids, love it. Yes. An aha moment. It comes from within. Yes. Yes. Seema, love it. For me, it's ego being right. It's exhausting. It is so exhausting. I feel you. Totally want to let it go. Yes. Yes. And you know, and you'll see the prompts in the journaling exercise, and Liz will add this, like, what are the underpinnings of that? Where did that need to be right come from? Who told me I wasn't right? Or who had me on the back when I was right? Who was like, ooh, look at you. She's our star. She's so smart. She's always right. Look, right? Like somewhere along the lines, we have picked this up through some training, some programming from our upbringing. And if you can pinpoint it, cool. If you can't, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. You just have to let it go. You have to decide. You're a conscious creator. You are literally mini gods walking the earth, my friend. And it's about getting to decide, choosing to decide. And it is such a marvelous place to be when you get to decide. And in our next call, we're going to talk more about desire and creating our next chapters and not limiting desire. And it's going to be like, I'm so excited about that whole piece. So I think we're getting here what we're talking about. Yes, the way I choose to think makes my reality. Exactly. And the thing is, if you start to pay attention to those interactions, everything is always like, was she nice to me? Am I enough? I went to the drive-through, the chick was rude to me. Oh, like you'll start to notice, am I moving in the energy of I'm so full and I have overflow to give you? I just want to have a nice interaction with you, and whatever happens doesn't mean anything about me. Generally, it means something about the other person. It's getting to that place where what other people's opinions or days or states doesn't have an impact on you guys. We are literally love soldiers. This is a higher way of being. This is a higher energy that we can live in. We can live in this energy. What a beautiful place to be. And the love that you can emanate, the love that you can call through your system is literally infinite. It's literally infinite. Yes, absolutely. And so, am I moving from an energy of love and genuine connection and sharing and walking together through life? Or am I in this relationship through guilt or obligation? Or am I doing things because I don't know how to say no? No one ever taught me how to say no, because that's also a very loving thing to do, is to learn how to say no. It's always one of my things that I share in the programs is like, where did we learn we cannot say no? I had a family member of mine recently say to me, there's something that they are very deeply involved in for one of their friends. And she said to me, Rad, I'm so tired by this whole thing. Like, what do I do? I need help. Like, how do I get out of this? Not getting dragged into this every time. And I said, you don't answer your phone. And I was like, right? It's like, what? Somebody needs me? Somebody who's sucking me dry needs me and I don't answer the phone? And I said to her, love, sometimes if you see the person's name on your phone and it's like, I cannot talk to this person right now, you answering it is a complete lack of service that you're giving yourself. And it's a lack of service, therefore, that we give others, because now we're not in the right headspace, right? It's like, oh, fuck. I love this person, but I don't have time for this. What energy do you think you're giving from? Part of this whole thing is understanding and trusting that if the universe has your back, which I think if you're here, you understand at some level that it is. And it's my hope that we're going to deepen that connection. That's all of next week, is our relationship to source. If you understand that somewhere out there, actually right here, is watching your back and has your back and is ready to give to you and loves you unconditionally, then that same source energy loves so-and-so and so-and-so and all the people that you can't get to right now. So by saying no, you actually free up the universe to say, thank you, Rad. Can you please get off the mic? You are not the one to help this person today. Clearly your energy is indicating that you are not in the game, that this is not where you need to be. This is not where flow is taking you. Life at its highest vibration. And so trust that if you can't do it today, the kindest, most generous thing you can do is let them know that you can't. And then get out of the way so that the person that they were supposed to connect with today, who hopefully will answer the phone and be there in an energy of, hey, what do you need? I'm here. I got you. I'm full cup right now. I'm overflowing. That those people could connect. But our ego causes us to believe, oh, like, oh, this person needs me. If I don't go, who will go? My older sister, Saloni, who I talk about often and always, when she was in the hospital on her last days, and we didn't even really know that it was her last days, but we knew she wasn't doing well. There was only 3 people on the hospital list that were allowed to go to see her because of COVID. And guess what happened to me the Sunday before she passed? I have a sore throat. And it is literally 3 weeks into COVID. We do not know how COVID works, what it means, what it can do, how it how it shows up in different people. We had no clue. I was literally taking rubber gloves to the hospital. Like, that's how clueless I was about COVID, March 2020. And so there was a day where I couldn't go because I had a sore throat, and I talked to her husband and I talked to my husband, and I was like, holy shit, like I could wipe out an entire department of the hospital. Like, that would be so irresponsible of me. Like, that would live on my shoulders forever. What do I do? I don't think I can go. And 3 days in a row, I couldn't go. And I was one of the only 3 people that could go on the list. And my sister called me, my baby sister, my biological baby sister. And she was like, babe, how do you feel? Like, you can't go? Shit, this is. And I said to her, maybe I'm not meant to be there. Like, clearly, I'm not meant to be there right now. Right? Yeah, being okay with not being able to solve everyone else's problems. Stepping back for the sake of you. Exactly. And what came through me in that moment was, perhaps, not even perhaps, I just knew. I said, she's supposed to be alone right now. Just her and her maker, no distractions. I was a good friend and a support, but also a bit of a distraction. The biggest answers we need in our lives come from within. Nobody can tell you what to do. We get on the phone with 15 friends. What do you think I should do? What do you think? What do you think? It's like, right? So I'm not just saying this as lip service. I'm talking about truly understanding what you have energy for, what you don't have energy for, unconditionally loving yourself, only acting from the energy of love, not fear. Starting to tune into where you do that, because we do it all the time. We are constantly acting out of our ego space. And we're going to talk a lot about this in week 4 on setting intention before communicating, before relating to third parties. And things may move around, so don't hold me to that timing, but I have a general sense. So this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. Yes, thank you guys for all your amazing notes and shares in the chat. Yeah. Stepping back for the sake of you, and also stepping back for the sake of the other person, because if you're not in the right energy, it doesn't actually serve the person. And if you believe that it would, that's our ego. The belief that we are indispensable, that's our ego. The belief that we can save somebody, that's our ego. The belief that we should save somebody, that's just guilt. That's just shame, guilt, the crap we were programmed, right? Love is healing. And love doesn't have those frequencies of guilt or shame or fear. Love is love. Love is the thing that heals. You can send somebody healing love energy without even being in the room. They are now doing the most powerful studies ever with UCSD, University of San Diego. Some of the studies we got to hear about that the Dr. Joe community is doing, some of the stuff that I personally donate to monthly because I believe in it so much. And they're starting to even be able to measure the power of positive energy that we can transfer to others non-locally without physically being together, right? So you can ask yourself, okay, do I have 4 hours today to go to that funeral? And is that the best use of my energy and time? Is that in alignment with where I'm at today? Or what if I just spent a full half an hour at home, took care of my kids, gave myself a break, whatever it is that you need and want to do, and just sat for 30 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and just powerfully channeled energy from my heart to that person's soul to lift them and to love on all their family members. You can do that without leaving your house. So these are the things that this is the framework of our time together. Thank you so much for being here. The tool that I want us to all now integrate. And again, if you're dabbling, we're going to go deeper. If you're already doing it, we're going to go deeper. If you've never tried, I'd love for you to download the app called Insight Timer. It's going to be in an email to you, so don't worry. You don't have to know exactly, but we'll put the link directly to download it from the different types of phones, Android, Apple, in the follow-up email. So if you don't have it already, it's a free app. It's incredible. And one day, me and Liz will have my meditations up there. One day could be even this month, Liz. It's possible. Anything's possible. And so, but there are some amazing teachers out there. And the key focus, you know, if you're going to search or you have access to the meditations, and let's open with the meditation on our next call, a shorter one, is anything around the heart chakra, unconditional love, the heart center. Those are the ones I would encourage you guys to focus on. And I think it's a wrap for today. I'm looking at the time. The flow is saying we've done it. We've said all the things. The last note I want to leave you with, just a 1-minute note, is as you do this work, and this has happened to me, you're going to want to share it with people. And the most powerful way when we're taking knowledge and turning it into like integrated, embodied being is to just focus on ourselves and be it. I remember when my brother told me he wanted to sign up for my program, the highest version, I think it was 2021. This is my older brother who's very not woo-woo, very science-minded, tells me he's an atheist anytime I use the word universe, right? Like we couldn't be more polar opposite. And yet we always say we're always coming back to the same place from different angles, which is really beautiful. He said to me, I want to do your program. Like, is that something I can do? And I was like, okay, wow, cool, amazing, yeah. And I felt so in a relaxed space. There was no pulling, there was no guilt, there was no, oh my God, you got to do this. There was, all of that was gone. And I said to him, what changed for you? Because I don't know that you and I would have done something like this together a couple of years ago. And he said, when you started on this path, you were so excited and you were still learning it, and you would constantly push it in my face. Confessions of Dr. Rad. And so I was like, oh yeah, I did. I totally did do that. And he was like, and it's fine because you love me and you love it and you wanted to share it and scream it from the mountaintops. And that is naturally what ends up happening. And it can act as a repellent for people, because that's not timing. That's not how people learn. That's not, when people are ready to do this, they just come to it. And he said, now you never talk about it, and you're being it. And you have this calm about you, and you always look so happy. And it's almost like you're here, but you're not here. Like you have this secret world that you live in. And I started laughing because I was like, that's a really good description of how I feel. So what gift you're going to give in your relationships is the embodiment of this. The embodiment. Be it. Just be about it. As Beyonce said once, right? Like just do it. And when you fall, have compassion for yourself. You react, you snap, you do the things. It's all good. This is a guilt-free growth zone when you work with me ever. And you come back, you rise again. And we're going to talk about this resetting capacity in a subsequent call. Right? Thank you, Vicky. Yeah. Love this. So true. Yeah. It's really, because what happens if you talk about it, but you don't do it, you start to lose people, right? And even when you're trying to do it and you fall, like my husband, and my husband doesn't say he's just the nicest person in the world, but my son the other day was like, aren't you a meditation teacher? I thought meditation teachers don't get angry. You know, it's like, sometimes they'll like stick it to you. Like they'll put it back up to you and be like, check yourself. But on the whole, I know that all the members of my family feel the energy. It's contagious. It's contagious. So as you do this for you, just for you, in you, as you, beautiful, #1 fan of yourself, and you truly start to step into this unconditional love and start to see the world in a different way, start to tune into these higher frequencies, start to let go of the past, the old paradigms, the beliefs, the stories, the pain. You start to be it. And that is how we're going to inspire the world. That is what's going to be contagious. And you're going to spread this in your home and in your family. So want to leave on that powerful note. I love you guys. You're going to get an email with some links and things. Look out for it. If you have any questions, I'm here for it. And yeah, I'll see you on Thursday. I love you guys so much. I'm just going to check and make sure that we got everything in the chat. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Vicky, I'm so happy to see you here. That's so cool. I love you guys. Have a wonderful couple of days. Be lovely to yourself. And we will be here together again very soon. You're so welcome, Aviva. I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be such an impact in your home. It's so beautiful. You guys are ahead of the curve. I salute you. This is a powerful group. I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. Wow. Yay. Amazing. Thank you guys so much. Liz, you're the best. Thank you. And we'll see you guys all very soon. And the recording will be up. Love you, Sima. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. What could be more fun than talking about love? Nothing. I said to Liz today, we're just going to talk about love. You're so welcome. Love you guys. All right. Have a good one. Bye.